3 lifelong friends, 6 trusty balls, and endless NFL takes. Welcome to 3 Guys, 6 Balls NFL Podcast.
Welcome to episode 29 of 3 Guys, 6 Balls NFL Podcast. Before we get officially started today, I just want to give a shout out to everyone who's followed us on our social media platforms. We are officially over 1,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram. And so I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has followed us and who engages with our daily content. We appreciate you guys, and we hope that you continue to support us. Also, we have started to do some TikTok lives, and we would love for you guys to come on there and ask us some questions, whether it's about your team or fantasy football, whatever it is. We will answer those. We don't really have a set time, a set day and time for those, but whenever you guys see us on TikTok Live, please jump on and ask us some questions. We would really love to engage with you guys while we're live as well. So we appreciate everyone who's followed us and who engages with our content. Please continue to do so. To get us officially started, Will has a recap of week 3 of the NFL season. And so, Will, I will hand the time over to you.
All right, week 3, we had 16 games. This is last week to start the season. Well, second to last week to start the season, we have all 16. We have all 16 in week 4, and not again until like week 16 or 17, something like that. So let's start with Thursday. The Bills are good. The Dolphins are bad, but maybe not as bad as we thought. Bengals, Vikings, maybe J.J. McCarthy was the problem, and I was right the whole time. You look at the Bengals side, backup quarterbacks clearly matter. Look at this game. We had 2 backups. Carson Wentz showed out. Then we have back-to-back AFC South matchups, Jaguars, Texans. AFC South is bad even when they play themselves. This is the Jaguars Texans was the first of 2 milk and toast games of the week. Nobody cared about that one. We had Colts Texans, so AFC South is bad except for the Colts. Daniel Jones seems to get the Saquon treatment. Leave the Giants is equal to being good at football. Raiders Commanders, Super Mario can still sling the ball. Again, this is why backups matter. And maybe as a show, we were a bit too mean at Deebo Samuel. All right. Special teams matters. Again, the Raiders will be fine, but they do need a new offensive line. Eagles, Rams. Eagles stay undefeated, but barely. Rams are a good team to have all their weapons. They just need to block a field goal. Well, they need to learn how to block for a field goal, not block field goal. That they probably have film on now. Falcons, probably a bit overhyped to start the season, and Penix probably just isn't that good. Welcome back, Kirk Cousins, to the league. Glad you're starting again. Glad the Panthers fans get to feel good for a week, but please do not get used to it. Steelers, Patriots. Aaron Rodgers is still doing Aaron Rodgers things. Just enough to win, but not too much extra because, again, he is 900 years old. We have Browns, Packers. The Browns continuously showing us why defense may not sell tickets, but is always more important. Block field goals leading to a game-winning field goal. The Rams probably should have taken notes. Then we've got Buccaneers, Jets. Baker is a dog. The Jets team was better with Tyrod Taylor than they were with Justin Fields. Cannot say I'm surprised. Matter of fact, I started Garrett Wilson this week when I had not started him in the past. Again, third time, backup quarterbacks matter. And Emeka Egbuka crushed that name this time. He's going to be an absolute all-star in this league. Broncos, Chargers. We keep waiting for the Chargers to fall out, but maybe not this year. But again, it's only week 3, so they'll crumble later. And maybe we overestimated the Broncos to start the season. We underestimated the Chargers and overestimated the Broncos. The Saints. Nothing to say here, except the Saints are so bad they had to actually go to Tyler Shuck. More on him later. Seahawks got a big win. Defense dominated. Defense and special teams dominated that one. Cowboys seem to be almost as bad as the Saints. Now, were there any injuries? Yeah, everybody's got injuries. Congrats to the Bears for the first time in Caleb Williams' career at the Bears. Was his first time not being sacked. So that's a moral victory. Good job, offensive line. Cardinals-Niners gets milquetoast game of the week. Nobody really cared about this game, and nothing happened except for a questionable holding penalty in the end zone. The CMC is still good so long as he's healthy. Chiefs-Giants, Russell Wilson decided he was done playing football and made sure to hand the reins off this game. Jackson Dart, welcome to the league. I don't understand why inside the 5-yard line Russell Wilson's throwing the ball 35 yards, but here we are. That's nothing new. At least this time it was to nobody instead of a different team. And Ravens, Lions, Monday Night Football. The Ravens may be the best 1-2 team we've ever seen. Derrick Henry has an absolute case of the yips, and he's scared to hold on to the football now. Lamar Jackson got sacked 7 times in that game, and they still had a shot to win at the end. You just have to play defense for 4 full quarters. That's week 3.
All right. That was pretty good.
I like it.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
Will, you think you can do one of those for us every week?
Every week. All 6, well,
All right.
all games every week.
Cool. I like it. That was pretty good. All right. So just to give you guys a little rundown of the schedule. So what we have on the schedule for today is we're going to rank the remaining 3-0 teams to get started here. Then after that, we're going to talk about which of the skill position rookies from the first 2 rounds has been the most disappointing through the first 3 weeks. And then we are going to give you guys a little bit of an update on where we stand with our potential new favorite NFL teams. So to get us started, we're going to rank the 3-0 teams 1 through 6. There are 6 3-0 teams remaining. You've got the Eagles, Bills, Chargers, Buccaneers, Colts, and 49ers. And so, Avery, why don't you get us started by ranking these teams 1 through 6 and just give us a little breakdown as to why you ranked them in that order.
All right. I'll start with the top. Buffalo Bills. I don't see them. I mean, at least from the first 3 games, they just seem like the most dominant force out there. As far as power rankings, like I'd put them 1 for sure. Josh Allen's looking like a monster. For number 2, I put the Colts. Just because I don't believe that they're going to keep this up. They have showed out so far. I don't know what it is. That team is just clicking. So until someone can put a stop to it, I got to put them at 2. I will put the Chargers at 3. I think they look good too, which is surprising because I've had Justin Herbert as my fantasy quarterback 2 separate times, and every time it is a disappointment. I actually haven't even checked how his fantasy stats. Yeah, every single one of those 2 times. I haven't even checked his fantasy stats, so maybe it's just as underwhelming. But they have looked good, and they have won some big games already.
Yeah.
The next team would be the Philadelphia Eagles.
Boo.
That tush push is ridiculous, but I am still on the side. I am on the side, and this might be addressed later. I'm on the side of figure it out for the defenses. Part of me, it looks hard to officiate. It's tough. I feel like I see a false start on that play like half the time.
There is.
It happened again against the Rams.
Yeah, and then also I just feel like the only way to really stop it is to target. Like you gotta just torpedo your way in there. That's basically what they're already doing. All of them are leading head first into the defensive line. So
wait,
anyway.
Okay. Tell me what you guys think about this. This just came to mind, and I feel like there's one player that I can think of from NFL history that could stop this play, and it is Troy Polamalu. That dude was the best I have ever seen at just timing the snap. Just somehow, he just knew when the ball was going to be snapped. He just jumps over the line and just wrecked people.
I would like to put a second player here, Warren Sapp, because you could not physically move him. That dude was so big and so strong. You couldn't move him. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'd like to nominate a third player. Lawrence Taylor. If he was in the game before that, the quarterback wouldn't be in the game. So
that's true.
You can just put him in earlier, avoid the whole situation. So I got the Eagles. They have been squeaking out games because of the tush push. You can call that calculated, kind of like Virginia basketball reference. They played slow and methodical. Their points never went above 50, but they won. And so it's one of those things where every game is close, but not really because they're just playing at an incredibly slow pace. But these guys, that's kind of how I feel, at least for the first 3 seasons. Next, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I wanted to put them a little higher, but part of their success looks a little bit like scrappy luck. And I say that respectfully. Like, they haven't looked like necessarily dominant. They look like a bunch of really talented players that are trying really hard. And then I got the San Francisco 49ers at the bottom of all the teams that I would want my favorite team to play. That would be the one of the 3-0s.
Yeah.
I don't like them. So, maybe biased, but both can be true at the same time.
That's funny you say that because that's actually my first note here for ranking the 49ers at 6. I don't like them. Yeah.
By the way, we're all choosing the 49ers as our favorite team after. Spoiler.
All right, so since Will's already spoken way too much this episode, I'm going to go ahead and give my my rankings of the 3-0 teams here. So to start off, number one, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's not necessarily because I think that they are the most talented. It's because I think that they are this year's regular season Chiefs, and they are just going to scrape by magically every single game like the Chiefs did last year. Somehow they have already escaped all 3 games just because the universe said that they're going to win the games. It's not because they should have won the games. It's because the universe decided that they are going to win those games. And so they are this year's regular season Kansas City Chiefs. And for some, I don't know how long it's going to go on for, but so far through 3 weeks, that's what's happening. They shouldn't have won. They probably honestly should, at least 2 of those games, they should have lost. For sure, they should have lost. If CeeDee Lamb doesn't drop those balls, Dallas Cowboys probably win. And just the fact that they were able to block 2 field goals is just absolutely wild, and it should not have happened. So
Saquon saying everyone in the world knows what we're doing, and it doesn't effing matter. Like,
yeah,
that was cold. Because I see that, again, going into this, that tush push, you need to find a way to defend that. Go sink down to a lower level to get the Eagles to try to ban whatever you're doing to stop that. Like, that's what I want to see. It might not happen, but I'd love to see it.
Yeah. So anyways, that's why I have the Eagles at number 1. At number 2, I have the Buffalo Bills. And the Bills, I don't necessarily think that the Bills are, I don't want to say that they are the most talented all-around team, because I feel like there are some flaws on this team that other teams can take advantage of. You look at like the Baltimore Ravens when they played in week 1, they put up 40 points. But the reason I have them at 2 is because you have probably the best quarterback in the NFL right now. And when the best quarterback has been called upon to be the best quarterback, he has been the best quarterback, and he has won you those games. Like against the Ravens, he is the reason that they won that game. Against the Dolphins, he is the reason that they were able to stay in that game and pull away at the end of that game, because the Dolphins gave them a run for their money for most of that game. It was not an easy game for the Bills. Now, against the Jets, they did not need Josh Allen to be the best quarterback in the NFL, so his stats don't look great, but that's because they did not need him to be. In the other 2 games, they needed him to be the best quarterback in the NFL, and that's exactly what he did. And when you have the best quarterback in the NFL, it makes up for all the other deficiencies that you have on your team. The number 3 team, I have the Chargers. And the main reason why is because they are a top 5 defensive team in terms of points allowed, which makes sense because they were the number 1 team in points allowed last year. So they are continuing their good defensive trend here. I really like what they're doing on offense with their receivers, with Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen, and Ladd McConkey. Those 3 guys, to me, it truly seems like they do not care who gets the ball. As long as they are scoring and they're winning games, it does not feel like that they truly care if it's them getting the ball or if it's one of their other guys getting the ball. As long as they are doing well and they're winning those games, I don't foresee any drama or any diva action going on there between those 3 guys. I just think that they are a solid group of wide receivers, and Justin Herbert is looking really good so far. The one thing with this team that I think could potentially hold them back is just the running game, because they are 24th in rushing yards per game right now, and they're averaging 3.5 yards a carry. But outside of that, everything else that I've seen from the Chargers is looking really good. Number 4, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also, like Avery, I did want to put them higher, but I did my rankings based off of how these teams are right now. And so the reason that I put the Bucs at 4 and not higher is because the Bucs have a ton of injuries on their team right now. They just lost Mike Evans for 3 to 4 weeks. They are going to get Chris Godwin back. I don't know if it's going to be this week, but soon he is coming back, so that should help. But you just lost Mike Evans for 3 to 4 weeks. Also, their offensive line is just being shuffled around in every possible way that it can go right now. They started the season without Tristan Wirfs, so they moved their starting center to left tackle, so that leaves their backup center and then their backup left tackle, who was their center. And so they also lost their starting right guard. They lost their starting right tackle. Their right guard is out for the year. Their starting right tackle is on IR, so he's out for a few weeks. But that means that they have been playing with a backup left tackle, a backup center, a backup right guard, and a backup right tackle for not for all the games, but for some of the games. And so They are going to get Tristan Wirfs back here, hopefully this week against the Eagles. So that allows them to have their starting left tackle and their starting center back. But still, you have your starting right guard and right tackle out. And they lost one of their defensive linemen for the season as well. So there's a ton of injuries there. But the fact that they have been able to win these games and come back at the end tells you that this team is never going to quit. They're always going to be in the game no matter what. And so I really, really like what I've seen from the Bucs so far, just from a standpoint of just they're never going to back down and they're never going to stop trying to win the game. The number 5 team, I have the Indianapolis Colts. They're putting up 34.3 points per game on average right now. They've only allowed 2 sacks, so Daniel Jones has only been sacked twice, which is crazy because you can see what he can do when he's not being sacked a billion times like he was when he was on the Giants. They lead the league in turnover differential with +5 right now, and they are one of 3 teams who does not have a single turnover yet. The other 2 teams are the Bills and the Buccaneers. The reason I put them at 5, though, is just because the quarterbacks for the other 4 teams that I put ahead of them are just better quarterbacks than Daniel Jones. And then number 6, I have the 49ers, as I mentioned before. Out of the remaining undefeated teams, this is the only team that has a negative turnover differential. They have a -1 turnover differential. They have the lowest points per game, which is 19.7, which is 23rd in the league right now. The next lowest team of the undefeated teams is the Chargers, who are at 23.3 points per game, which is 15th in the league. They also are 27th in rushing yards per game, which is one of 7 teams that is averaging below 90 rushing yards a game right now. And they just lost Nick Bosa for the year. So as good as their defense looks right now statistically, it's not going to be that good moving forward because Nick Bosa is no longer there. All right, Will, your turn.
Take us home.
I lost internet about halfway through what you said, so I have no idea what half your list was.
He agreed with
Yeah,
everything I said.
You're paused there for a second, so.
Yeah.
Just to recap. So I have the Eagles 1, Bills 2, Chargers at 3, Buccaneers at 4, Colts at 5, and the 49ers at 6.
Cool. I've got a kind of similar list to both of you because there's only 6 people, and so there's only so many options. I've got the Bills at 1 for all the reasons that have already been said. Kind of like Avery said, the Bills, even though they gave up 40 points to the Ravens, as I mentioned earlier, are the best 1 and 2 team I've ever seen in my life. The Bills are good. They're going to keep being good. They are, especially with the Chiefs struggling early, they are on the fast track to the number 1 seed in the AFC. I actually have the Chargers at 2, kind of like what Avery said. They have won tough games, and they've played tough opponents. They haven't just played nobody. I've got the Bucs at 3, actually, for a lot of the reasons why you have them lower, Joel, is actually why I have them higher. They're missing a bunch of people, and they're still managing to win games. They're still putting together a full team game, and they're still able to pull out a win. Number 4.
Wait, can I just say something on that real quick?
Yes.
So the only reason why I put them lower is because they're playing the Eagles this week, and I feel like with all the replacements that they have on the offensive line, that could get them into trouble against a team like the Eagles.
Absolutely.
And so that's pretty much the reason why. Like, I love that they've been able to overcome all of that stuff, but I feel like against a team like the Eagles, that could get them into trouble because you look at the teams that they've played so far, they're all teams with losing records, and so the Eagles are on a different level. So I feel like that could get them into a little bit of trouble in that game, if that makes sense.
I agree. I see what you mean, but we'll see here. Number 4, I actually have the Colts because, and again, these are all undefeated teams, but the Colts have won and looked good doing it.
They sure have.
Let's just see. I had the Colts schedule pulled up here a second ago. They beat the Dolphins week 1, which Dolphins, maybe not as bad. Then they beat Denver, and then they just mollywopped the Titans. Now, the Titans are nothing to write home about yet, but they've won convincingly, and convincingly by 1 point against the Broncos. But still, not one person preseason, not one person that is a football fan would have picked the Colts to beat the Broncos in week 2. No one. Like, if you say, I would have, it's because either you're a Colts homer or you're a Broncos hater. Or
a troll.
Or an absolute troll. You're right. Those are the only people. And yet here they are at 3-0. And like I mentioned, Saquon, it did happen to Saquon. Left the Giants, ran for 2,000 yards. Now, Daniel Jones leaves the Giants, and he apparently knows how to play football now. And so I like what the Colts are doing. Number 5, I have the Eagles because they have, again, won all their games since these were all undefeated teams, but the Eagles have looked ugly doing this. If it weren't for Jalen Carter, so let's back all the way up to week 1. Jalen Carter doesn't get ejected from that first game before the first actual snap. The Eagles beat Dallas by 1,000,000. Dallas's offensive line can't do anything, but yet when one of the best interior defensive linemen in the league is out, your offensive line looks a lot better. And then Jalen Carter last 2 games is one of the main reasons they've been able to win. He's able to get in there and create pressure. He was doing it to Matt Stafford the entire game. Get these quarterbacks off kilter, and all of a sudden they're not near as good. Now, fortunately for the Rams, Matt Stafford's an absolute professional, Super Bowl champion, and he knows how to handle that. But Jalen Carter is a big difference maker, and he is a key factor as to why they are undefeated. That offense, the Eagles' offense, has been very lackluster and very unimpressive. And it is all defense there, and it's mostly defensive line, allowing the secondary to do something. And then lastly, I have the 49ers, because the 49ers have played no one and barely won. The best team they've played so far is the Cardinals, and they beat them by 1 point in the most boring game. Now, they did beat the Seahawks by 4, but that was when you still had Brock Purdy and nobody knew what the Seahawks were going to do. Then you beat the Saints by 5, so it was a 1-score game against the Saints, which is embarrassing by itself. And then you beat the Cardinals by 1. So what are we doing here? Mac Jones, he is not. I mean, he couldn't start in New England, and now he's here in San Francisco. He couldn't start there either. But like I said 3 times already, backup quarterbacks matter. So Mac Jones is still doing this thing. He can still play football, but you don't have George Kittle. You don't have half your team anymore. We are all just waiting for Christian McCaffrey to get hurt again, since you're having to ride his back so much. And that defense is not the same defense it's been in recent years. So 49ers are like Avery said, they are the team that I would want my favorite team to go up against if they had to go up against an undefeated team.
For sure. So before we move on to the next segment here, I just thought of a question, and this is about the Colts. So we all know that Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones were competing for the starting quarterback position, right? And then Daniel Jones eventually ended up taking that job. The fact that Anthony Richardson was even in consideration for the starting role, does that mean that he was at one point playing well in training camp? Because the way that we're seeing Daniel Jones playing right now, he's playing very well. And I feel like if he played like that in training camp, there would have been no question that it was Daniel Jones.
I have a thought on it. I think that. Go ahead.
Is Anthony Richardson not hurt currently?
Yeah,
I mean, he's always, isn't he always hurt?
Okay, anyway, sorry, but you go.
I just felt like they probably got Jones on a discount because he came out of New York and no one had seen what he could really do. He played at Duke before that. Barf. So when they get him and then Anthony Richardson's in contention, I mean, you have to go back to when, 3 weeks ago, our view on Daniel Jones. I just feel like, well, I guess 4 weeks ago, but I think if anything, it's less so him, Anthony Richardson, not looking as good as it is now looking back at Anthony Richardson like, oh, geez, like we had the tools here this whole time. We just needed a better quarterback. I think if anything, it's an indictment on Richardson. Just like, oh, so we just needed a new quarterback here. Unless there's something that happened where they just switched out the line, all the pieces, coaches, and everything, and just turned the ship around. It's just a bad look. Like, I don't know if he's going to really get much of a shot anywhere else.
Anthony Richardson dislocated, fractured, hurt, sprained, who knows? But his throwing hand pinky in preseason. So doesn't really matter. Doesn't really affect anything now that we're at the end of September. I wonder if in the offseason they already knew Daniel Jones was going to be the starter, but to get maximum effort out of their players, they were publicly saying it's a quarterback battle. That way they both would try, not that they weren't going to try hard, but that they both would put in maximum effort all offseason to make the whole entire team better. Because I can imagine at year 15 or whatever Matt Stafford's in, his offseason maybe is a bit lighter than, say, an Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones type who's trying to still keep their job. We all know Matt Stafford's going to be the quarterback at the Rams, or say Aaron Rodgers at the Steelers. When he finally signed on, he didn't sign on until I mean, it was late in the offseason when he signed on. And so these guys who have been around for a long time don't possibly, and I'm not saying they're not professionals with it, but their off-season efforts probably are not as high as some of these younger guys who still need to be proven as to where they're at. And also, Anthony Richardson, this is his second year, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or is it his third?
This is his third year, I believe.
Third. So the one thing you don't want to do with these young quarterbacks is destroy their confidence. And he was their starter for the last 2 years. And so you pick up this guy on free agency who couldn't even make it at the Giants. The last thing you're going to do to your starting quarterback is go, all right, well, we're going to go with this guy that we got, was it for a bucket of rocks? And so I think that also had to play into it. It's all the politicking that goes on for your players' standpoint of, oh no, we're all good. So,
yeah, I agree. I just had the thought, like, I think that they really did try to make Anthony Richardson the starter. Like, they gave him all the opportunities to do so, because when you pick somebody number 4 overall, you want them to be your starter, right?
right.
It just came to mind, like, what if Anthony Jones, what am I talking about?
Indiana
what
Jones.
if yeah, that's right. What if Anthony Richardson was actually playing really well, but then he just got hurt, and that's the reason why Daniel Jones became the starter? Like, was Anthony Richardson actually playing really well, and that's why it was an actual quarterback competition? Or did they just want to give Anthony Richardson the opportunity because they picked him at number 4 overall? So yeah, we'll move on to our next segment here. So we're going to talk about which rookie drafted in the 2025 draft what has been the most disappointing. So this is going to be just rookies that were drafted in the first and second round, and just skill position players. So Will, you can get us started on this one. So which rookie that was drafted in the first 2 rounds has been the most disappointing in the first 3 weeks of the season?
I'm going to go with a guy we've barely seen at all. He's only thrown 2 whole passes, and that is Tyler Shuck. Talked about him a couple times today. He picked 40 overall, right? Yeah, round 2, early in round 2, picked
40
number
overall.
40. You've heard us say it on this show so many times, you're probably tired of it. This guy couldn't even start at Oregon, had to transfer around, went to Texas Tech, went to Louisville, finally had half a good season, gets into the NFL in a second-round pick. And let me switch gears here. Let me talk about Spencer Rattler, the current starter at New Orleans for the Saints. He is 0-9 as a starter, dating back to last season. 0-9. Last year, he started 6 games, went 0-6 in those games. He has a 57% completion percentage last year, threw for just over 1,000 yards, or just over 1,300 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in 6 games. So this is very, bad. I don't even know what else to call it. It's bad. And then to start this season, he goes 0 for 3. He's thrown the same amount of touchdowns this year as he did in the 6 games last year. He's thrown for 4 touchdowns and only 1 interception, so it is getting better. He's at a 67% completion, which is, again, better. We are improving from year to year, but not in the win column. But yet, you were a high draft pick, and yet you can't start over this guy who, it's not like he's been around for a long time. This is Rattler's second year in the league, so he's not some perpetual starter. 5th-round pick, which, again, not that 5th-round picks can't be good. But when Tyler Shuck did come in, he had 2 opportunities to throw a pass, didn't complete either of them. Didn't look good doing it either. He is as underwhelming and underperforming as we expected. I think most of us expected him to start starting the year. Like him over Spencer Rattler in week 1. And that didn't happen, and maybe it's for his benefit to sit him for a while before he comes in. But I think it is at this point a bit of a waste of a pick at pick 3 when you don't have, or pick 10, excuse me, pick 40, take 3, pick 40 to pick a guy when you don't have a clear starter, to pick a guy and then sit him when your starter can't win games either. Now, Jackson Dart was picked at pick number 10, correct?
No, he was selected in the 20s.
Okay, either way, 1st-round pick before Shuck. Giants picked him early in the 1st round, but they have a clear starter. and so they didn't need to start him, but they're drafting for the future, which is not what the Saints were doing. They didn't take a guy in the first round for their starting quarterback. They waited in the second round, got their guy, and it is just disappointing. I don't think we're going to see anything exciting out of him his whole career, not just to murder the guy early, but I don't think we'll ever see anything exciting out of Tyler Shuck.
I agree. All right, Avery, your turn. Which rookie drafted in the first 2 rounds has been the most disappointing in the first 3 weeks?
I've been looking through these, and like I guess we've kind of discussed this briefly, but I was kind of looking at expectation versus production, just, so if a guy's not playing, it's like I obviously don't expect him to play. However, I kind of have 2 names on here for kind of different reasons. The first is Cam Ward.
Ooh,
I just feel like, look, you are the first overall pick. You haven't done poorly. You haven't been throwing picks everywhere. I think he's thrown a pick. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I mean, first overall quarterback, you're starting on this team, you're starting 0-3. Everyone else, I mean, unless you're looking at quarterbacks, which I would even say, I mean, even with Shuck, it's like, I mean, you weren't even handed the keys, It's like if you were handed the keys and you mess up, that's one thing. And that's what's happening with Cam Ward. And so I was like, look, you're 0-3. Granted, you didn't inherit the best thing, so I'm not going to, this is kind of a multi-year build right now. But besides that, I want to throw out a little shade onto the LA Rams. They did not have a first
Terrence
pick.
Ferguson?
Terrence Ferguson, their first
He
pick.
was one of the guys
draft.
I listed too.
He is a 4th string tight end. Warren came in starting. I feel like most tight ends, if you get drafted that high, top 2 rounds, you're starting because your team needs a tight end, and it's easy enough. You're a big guy. You know how to catch. We're not expecting you to do anything crazy. You just need to go out there and produce. And I was looking, I'm like, where are his stats? And I'm like, oh, is he a backup? Like, see, he hasn't played at all? And look, he's 4th string. How many teams have 4 tight ends on their roster? Nuts. So I see that less about him. I'm like, dude, you are buried. Like, I don't even know if other teams are going to know you're still there. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, who do the Rams have at tight end? This guy. I'm not going to look any further because why would I look at a 4th string tight end? I'm like, this was the best you could do for your first pick? Bury a man on the bench at a arguably inconsequential position. Like, this isn't a left tackle. This isn't a quarterback. This isn't your running back. This isn't a defensive end. This is a tight end. Anyway, I feel bad for the man. He played at Oregon, did great, and we will never see how he does.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too because I was trying to find his stats and he doesn't have one single catch. He doesn't have one single target. He wasn't even active for the week 3 game.
Jeez.
So you've got Sean McVay out here saying like, and I looked this up to see like kind of what was going on. And Sean McVay's like, it's just like a, situational thing. And he's going to be a great player for the Rams. And, it's just, he kind of has to say that stuff, but like, there's got to be a bigger reason as to why he's not playing, right? Otherwise, you don't draft a guy in the 2nd round and then just not play him. Like, there's got to be something going on. Like, he's either just bad or I don't know. But you don't draft a guy in the 2nd round with your first pick of the draft and then just not play him.
4th string first pick. That should never happen anywhere. Show me any other position where that sounds better. We drafted a 4th string. I mean, that's basically Shador. We're like, why on earth would you draft him if you've got this many quarterbacks? And this is a tight end. Dude, you could put a lineman at tight end. You could put a receiver at tight end. Anyway.
All right, cool. Well, for my biggest disappointment from the first 2 rounds of the 2025 NFL draft, I have Colston Loveland, who was drafted at 10th overall by the Chicago Bears. And the reason why I picked him is not even necessarily because of his play. I mean, it does kind of have to do with that, but the reason is because you have Tyler Warren, who was taken 4 picks later, who started off his NFL career looking really, really good. And here you have Colston Loveland, who was drafted before Tyler Warren, when everybody already questioned when the Bears drafted Loveland, like, what are you guys doing? Tyler Warren's on the board. Why are you guys taking Colston Loveland? And so throughout their entire careers, Colson Loveland will be compared to Tyler Warren, and Tyler Warren will be compared to Colson Loveland. And so far, through 3 weeks, Tyler Warren looks like an all-pro, potentially tight end, and Colson Loveland looks like a backup tight end, which is exactly what he is right now. And when you take a tight end or any player at 10 overall, you don't want them to be your backup. You want them to be a guy who is going to go out every single week and produce for your team every single week. In the first game, he played 57% of the snaps, and it has declined every single week since then, while you have Cole Kmet, who has played at least 90% of the snaps every single week for the Bears. And so right now, picking Colson Loveland at 10th overall does not look like a good move for the Bears at all. And I know it's only week 3, so maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe with time, Colson Loveland will get better and maybe he'll get to that point. But just the way things sit right now, everybody knows that Tyler Warren was the better pick between the two guys. And that's how it will be. Like, they will be compared to each other throughout their entire careers.
Poor Colston.
And with that, if you weren't going to start him, look at who came after him. You've got Micah Williams, Tyler Booker, and Kenneth Grant. Edge rusher, guard, and defensive tackle. It's not like every team couldn't use more of those. Not every team needs more tight ends. I don't know. I just feel like Shamar Stewart was still available. There were just definite starters still on the board, and maybe their guy got picked. Maybe they wanted Kelvin Banks that the Saints ended up with. Maybe they wanted Tet and just didn't know what to do. And so they were, I guess we'll just pick this guy. He's tall. But yeah.
I really hope that's not the case.
It's the Bears. Truly, who knows?
Oof.
All right. Well, yeah, there's been a few disappointing rookies that have been drafted in the first 2 rounds. There's a few other guys I had on my list, but just for the sake of time here, I want to make sure that we get in our top 5 potential new teams for you guys, so you guys can guess who you guys think we are going to pick as our new favorite team. So what we're going to do is we're going to list our top 5 potential new favorite teams, and I think we all rank them in alphabetical order. Is that correct? Yes. Okay.
Yes. Not giving anything away, just alphabetical. Alphabetical by second name, not location.
Just do alphabetical, as long as it's alphabetical.
Okay, so yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to rank them 1 through 5, but it's alphabetical, so you guys don't know what the actual order is. And we're going to give you guys a reason or two for every team as to why they're in our top 5, so you guys can guess on social media which team you guys think we are going to pick. So I think I'm pretty close to picking my new team. I think Will's pretty close. I don't know how close Avery is, but we all have at least a top 5. So Avery, why don't you get us started? Let us know what.
No, I gotta go last. I can
go first this time. Joe, you never go.
Okay,
start us off.
Okay, I will go first. So,
by the way, none of us know what team there is. I have a feeling I know Joel's. I don't know, but I know. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, hold on. Before you start again, that is a good point to bring up. We've talked about this before, but this is not an open 3-way discussion between the 3 of us. We're making this decision on our own, and at the end of the day, the 3 of us are going to be surprised with who the other people pick. So this is not
Also, we only discuss this with each other on here. We're not on the phone after the stream or anything. Like, this is it. I find out what you guys are looking at and who your top teams are like live.
Yeah. This is real. This is real life stuff. All right, Joe.
This is important.
All right. So for my top 5 potential new teams in alphabetical order, I have the Buffalo Bills. And this is really the only team that I feel like I could be considered a bandwagon fan with out of the 5. And so like that's really like the only one that I feel like could potentially be a bandwagon fan. But the reason I have them as one of my potential new favorite teams is because since the new ownership took over in 2014, I shouldn't say new ownership, but since ownership took over in 2014, they've done a really nice job of building this team into what it is now. And that is really important to me as a fan of an NFL team, because I'm coming from the Dallas Cowboys, where Jerry Jones does not care one bit about building the team. He cares about making money, and that's all he cares about. And so to me, when I see the Buffalo Bills and what they have done, what current ownership has done since 2014 to build this team into what it is now, that goes a long way with me, because that's what I want in a team. I want a team that is actually actively trying to win and actively trying to win a Super Bowl. So that's why I have the Buffalo Bills. Number 2, I have the Denver Broncos. Now, the reason for the Broncos is because throughout my NFL fandom, I feel like several times I have seen several different Broncos defenses be very good defenses. Now, it doesn't look like they're super great so far this year, but just remember that they started off at 1-2 last year as well. And so there's still a lot of time left in the season for them to get back to being that dominant defense. But one thing that I like in a team is trying to actively build a really good defense. Because again, the Dallas Cowboys, my former team, have truly never had a dominant defense since I have been a fan of them. And so that is a factor that I am considering, because I want to have a team where I trust the defense instead of going, oh, well, we're playing the Buffalo Bills. They're going to score 50 points on us. Like, there's not even a chance that we can win this game. So that's why I have the Broncos. Number 3, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the reason for this is because ownership of this organization has shown that they believe in their players and they believe in the guys that they bring in. It seems to me that the players that play for the Buccaneers actually want to play for the Buccaneers, and they enjoy playing for the Buccaneers. That is something that I've never felt that way about the Dallas Cowboys. I truly believe that none of the players who play for the Dallas Cowboys actually want to play there. I just believe that they only play there because Jerry Jones pays them money to play there. I don't feel like CeeDee Lamb wants to play there. I don't feel like Dak Prescott really wants to play there. I don't feel like any of the Dallas Cowboys actually want to play for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. But with the Buccaneers, I look at them and I see players like Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and Emeka Egbuka, even though he's only a rookie. I see these guys look like they actually like this organization and they actually want to play for this organization. And so that's why I have the Buccaneers as one of my potential new teams. Number 4, I have the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are aside from what we saw against the Panthers, I believe that they are an up-and-coming team. Now, clearly there is still a lot of work that they have to do, but I believe that they are an up-and-coming team. I like some of the young pieces that they have on this team, and that was one of the factors that I looked at too, because I don't want to be considered a bandwagon fan, and I don't feel like if I joined the Falcons that I would be considered that at all. And so just a bonus here, I think that, an important factor for me too is their colors, and their main color is red. My son's favorite color is red, and he also picked their logo as one of the logos that he liked. And so that's why I have the Atlanta Falcons as one of my finalists.
Solid taste. That's a great logo. Your son knows what's up.
All right, and then at number 5...
Wait, especially when you compare it to their 90s logo. Have you seen that abomination? That is
there, Wil, right now.
Dude, that is something that I would send in to like a client just to rage bait them. It's just this chalk drawing of a bird.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, they put that on everything. Oh my gosh. I would love to know when they announced the new logo, how many people were like, the original is classic. You just got the best logo coming from the worst. Like, shut your mouth. Anyway.
All right. So number 5, I have the Los Angeles Rams, and I like the way that the organization is being run. Similar to some of these other teams that I've already mentioned, I like the way that the organization is being run. I feel like the Rams have actively made moves to try and compete and win the Super Bowl, and that's really a big factor for me in trying to pick a new team to root for. Another bonus reason for them is they are the closest team to me. Besides the Raiders are actually closer than the Rams are to me. But as Avery mentioned last week, how can we trust Mark Davis to build a good team when he can't even have a good haircut, right? And so the Raiders are out, and the Rams are, I'm considering them the closest team to me because the Raiders are just out for me. So those are my top 5 in alphabetical order: the Bills, Broncos, Buccaneers, Falcons, and Rams.
Nice. All right, Will,
Okay.
what you got for us?
Well, if you don't know by now, then you've never seen it as a single episode. Joe Avery and I have known each other for 25 years, right? That math check out? 7, we're
Yeah.
32 now.
Second grade.
So,
Yeah.
so 25 years. So there's going to be some overlap here because we have similar interests, but oddly enough, for different reasons. So this decision is going to affect me and my wife and my emotional status and my children, because this is what my children are going to be raised watching and liking. And when they go to school, just like I was the regular Cowboys fan around school, and everyone hates the Cowboys. Okay, and so this matters to me. This is something that I care about. So over Labor Day, my wife and I had a yard sale, and we went through all 32 teams, and we ranked mascot ferocity, we ranked color scheme, we ranked logo appeal, we ranked fan base. Sorry, Eagles, you got last. Don't throw snowballs at Santa Claus, all right? Don't throw beer cans at hospital kids. That's all that matters. You have a jail in your stadium. You're the worst. So we ranked all this stuff. We've kind of narrowed it down to a top 5. Again, this is alphabetical order. We are starting with the Buffalo Bills. Now, not a very ferocious mascot, but the team is good, and that matters. I like that they're in the middle of their run. I don't think they're at the end of their run. They're easy to be a fan of. They're very likable, and their fans are absolutely insane. And I like that. I like a good insane fan. I would feel like a bit of a poser calling myself a part of Bills Mafia, at least for the first couple years. But eventually, I feel like I can fit in there. Number 2, I've got the Broncos, because they're a semi-local team. Another factor that played in here is the stadium reasonably visitable? Can I go to a game if I so choose? Both the Bills and the Broncos are getting new stadiums right now. The Bills starting their new stadium next year. That is a big high mark for me personally, because that means ownership cares and you're using tax dollars. So might as well, right? If we're going to spend them, we might as well use them. And so the Bills are getting a new stadium next year. The Broncos are getting a new stadium in a couple years. I don't know when they're going to be done. But the Broncos, from Oregon to Denver, that is not that far, very attainable, very easy to go to a game overall. Next does not fit in here. This is not a destination city, but again, it falls back with the Bills. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're a very likable team. One of my most exciting moments as a fan, pretty much ever, was the very end of last season when the Buccaneers were doing everything they could to force feed Mike Evans the football to get him his 1,000-yard season to keep that record going. That was cool. So exciting as a fan of football to watch. I don't know if I've ever felt an emotional high with the Cowboys. I have felt that low when Tony Romo fumbled the ball against the Seahawks when they should have made that field goal. I guess I'm not over it yet, but still.
When Dez caught it.
When Dez caught it, yep, a lot of lows, but that's part of being a fan of a team. But the Buccaneers are an easily likable team. Again, I feel like they're in the middle of it. They're going to have some pieces changing out. We don't know how long Mike Evans has left us with his new injury, but he's nearing the end of his career, but they've already got new pieces coming in. And that pirate ship in their stadium is so cool. And my son likes pirates. Okay, that's just, they're easily viewable by children. And my kids currently hate football. My son and daughter hate football so much because dad gets the TV, not them. That's the problem with it. So I gotta get things that are visible on the screen that they can like to watch in a big old pirate ship in a stadium. That's something that we can look at. Number 4 here. So I've got Bills, Broncos, Bucks. Number 4 here, I've got the Chargers. I have liked the Chargers for a long time. They've pretty much been my AFC team. If I'm going to root for an AFC team, it's probably going to be the Chargers because A, they're local, and B, I've liked their players for a long time. Now they've got Justin Herbert. I watched him play in high school. Chances are very high I watched him play in high school, going to high school here in Oregon, and then went to college at Oregon, 10 miles away from where I went to high school. I've seen him play pretty much his entire career, and so I'm already a fan of the guy, and so it would be an easy jump to be a fan of the team. Also, LA is a destination city. If you go to LA for a game, you can also do other things while you're there. And to finish out the list, I have the Rams. Again, LA destination city. They just got a new stadium, although it's not technically a dome, it's actually a canopy. So if they do have lightning in the area, they do have to stop the game, which I think is wild. And so I've got the Rams there. They're easily likable. I like Sean McVay a lot. He's really good at what he does. And I like the concept of jumping in at the end of their run where they're going to have to rebuild that team here pretty soon. And because Matt Stafford's at the end of his career, Devontae is at the end of his career. They just got rid of Cooper Kupp, their staple guy, because he's nearing the end of his career. And so you're going to have to start new with a new team here, same team but new players real soon. It feels like a good time to get in with a team like that.
So, Will, we have 4 of the same top
I
5.
noticed that. As a matter of fact, the Falcons were in my top 5.
I was surprised you didn't mention them.
The Falcons were in my top 5 for a long time because, honestly, one of the reasons is they have the single best logo in the league. We've already talked about this. When my wife and I were going through it, she didn't realize that it was a falcon and an F and the whole thing in the claws and she didn't realize all of the intricacies with that logo, and that boosted them way up. I like the team a lot. I personally don't like Michael Penix because he went to Washington, and I'm an Oregon fan, and that has a lasting effect. That's just kind of the way it is, and so that kind of dropped them out. It had nothing to do with their 30-0 loss to the Panthers. My team losing, team record actually did not have anything to do. Current team record had nothing to do with being a fan of them or not. Now, granted, 1, 2, 3 of these teams are 3-0. That's not why I'm a fan of that team or what would be a fan of that team. So I can put up with bad years just as well as I can be happy with good years.
I would hope so because you're coming from the Cowboys, so there's been a lot of bad years.
A lot of mediocre years.
All right, Avery, you're up. Give us your top 5 potential new favorite teams.
Oh, sorry, boys. I'm leaking out of my face everywhere. Okay. I got the Broncos at number 1 because they start with a B. And then I do not have the Bills. I like the Broncos. I like Mo Nix. I like Sean Payton. They are relatively I consider them a West Coast team. I feel like anyone west of the Rockies is a West Coast team just because there's like nothing west of the Rockies. There's just a few, the same in college too. So I mean anybody in the NFC or AFC West, I consider a West Coast team. Also, I like their colors to a degree. Yeah. The Bucks, I have it too. I've liked what they've been doing with their uniforms and logo lately. I remember their stuff being an eyesore a while ago. I just thought it was like a little convoluted, a little weird. But I like it. And also kind of what Joel said, the way the team's going, just seeing their energy and their drive, it's very contagious. Just looks like it would be a lot of fun to play on that team if I was a player. Number 3, I got the Chargers. I like their colors a lot. The fact that, like Will said, destination. They got what's his name? Hampton. They got oh my gosh, I'm forgetting everyone's name. Oregon quarterback Justin
Herbert.
Jeez. Yeah. And then number 4, got the Falcons. Atlanta team. I was named after an Atlanta Braves baseball player, so maybe there's a connection there. Probably not. I know my dad is watching this because he watches every episode, and he'll be like, "You didn't mention why you were named that." I'm like, no, I don't care enough. He never brought me to a game. So... He never brought me to a game. I had to go with someone else. So if you name me after a player and you never take me to a game, you forfeited. And 5th, I got the Titans, the Tennessee Titans.
Ooh.
Because they are an hour away from me, and they're getting a new stadium, and I will not be seen as a bandwagon, and I can go to games. Not. But I can go to games, but like watching a lot of wins, I don't know. So Unless I have some sort of Lincoln, decade-long, anticipatory, and then all of a sudden the Titans are Titans out there. I don't know. That might be rough going. But those are my 5 teams: Broncos, Bucks, Chargers, Falcons, Titans.
All right, cool. So I guess the last question here before we end is, how do you guys want to do this when we have decided? Like, do you guys want to, like, when one of us like fully knows, do you want us to reveal it, or do you want to all wait till we all 3 know and then reveal it? What do you guys think we should do there?
Oh,
because let's just say the reason I think if one of us knows, we could present a case to the other 2 to I know we're not trying to decide on the same team, but you know what I'm trying to say? We could present a case to.
Here's my pushback, and it's for different reasons. I would like to be on the same team as one of you 2 or both of you. That is not a priority. It's not a must, but it's definitely a factor, just like all of the different variables from these teams. So if one of you does have something already sort of mildly for sure picked out, Joel, I might like to hear your case for it, because I think I started probably the closest to knowing who, and now I'm probably the furthest. And I think part of that is just it could go any direction. It's not like there's one where I'm I have to go this way. If I don't, I'll always feel like I'm longing for this team. I really don't have any predetermined affinity for any team. So, even with the Titans being close by, I'm I don't know how often I'm actually going to go to a game. I could go to any SEC game, and I don't. So there's a lot of stuff in there, but who you guys choose affects me. I don't need to be on the same team, but that is one thing that, and I wouldn't want us all 3 to be on the same team. I just feel like it would change the possible.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe.
Here's the thing with that, because I have thought about that.
Okay.
But, Will and I have been Cowboys fans this whole time, and I feel like we have done a very good job of not making it a Cowboys podcast. And I know you're not a fan of the Cowboys, Avery, but Will and I have been lifelong Cowboys fans. And I don't think we have ever said one good thing about Dallas. And I don't feel like we talk about them that often to where we could even be considered somewhat even close to a Cowboys podcast. So I feel like, I feel like if we do,
you are on the tail end of your fandom here, so it's not
but
we don't even talk anything good. I'm you guys weren't fans.
We didn't know when the show started.
We didn't know.
That's true. No.
Look, if we never started this podcast, we probably would still be Dallas Cowboys fans.
Upset and angry ones, but
self-loathing. Yeah, now you're a little bit more free to
just like every Cowboys fan.
Yeah, so if we do end up on the same team, I feel like we would do a very good job of not making it a podcast about that team.
Yeah, we wouldn't. That's a good point.
Okay, so we'll end with this. So much to Avery's belief, he is actually correct that I do actually know who my new favorite team is. I was just saying my top 5 just for the purpose of saying my top 5.
Spoiler alert, coming from someone who doesn't know the answer. It starts with a B.
Go on.
Starts with a B. It starts with a B.
I am not going to reveal my new favorite team today.
You absolute edger. You just edged us all the way to it. You guys are all the way excited. You guys bricked up for your answer, and then you left us hanging.
But this is why I asked one of the previous questions, is because so what I'll do is I will reveal who my new favorite team is next week on next week's episode, and I will put together a list of all the reasons as to why they are my new favorite team. And I will present that to you guys on next week's episode, and then you guys can take that into consideration for your potential new favorite team. And if you choose to go with them, that's great. If you choose not to, also great. But I already know who my new favorite team is, and I actually have ordered a hat for that new team. And so I am fully committed to this team, and I will tell you guys next week.
And let me tell you, as mentioned, I've known Joe for 25 years. He's not going to spend money on anything unless he's actually committed to it. he will not spend money on things unless he's real about it. So
That's how you know this whole thing is real. The fact that he ordered that. Yeah, that's real.
I've been looking for things to do with my old cowboy stuff. And like Christmas is coming up, and I have a bunch of decorations that happen to be semi-related to the Cowboys. I'm like, we're just have to buy a bunch of new shit. Like, sorry, pardon me. I almost made it the whole time. We had to buy a bunch of new stuff. Yeah.
Now I have to mark it as explicit, Will. Thanks a lot.
My bad.
I do every time anyway, just to be safe.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited though.
All right.
And
cool.
Last thing here, surprisingly, overwhelming support from my family, who are lifelong Cowboys fans. I was talking about it with my older brother, 2 brothers, an oldest brother and an older brother. And my older brother is a delusional Cowboys fan, and he does listen to this podcast, and so he will hear that. He 2 years ago thought that the year that Dallas got 4 wins, I was saying this is going to be a bad team. He's like, oh, this is a 12-win team. All right, pal, you're way wrong. Anyway, he was asking me last night about changing teams and this, that, and the other, and I told him the same 5. He's like, that's a really solid list. I'm excited to hear who you pick. That way we can start talking crap to each other. I'm like, all right, okay. This is good. This is good news. So yeah, I'm into it. I'm loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba. Not the whole thing. That's copyright.
Okay. All right. So on next week's episode, you guys will hear who my new favorite team is. I will reveal that. I don't know if we're going to do it at the beginning or at the end, but it will be sometime during next week's episode, assuming that my hat is here. It's supposed to arrive on Friday. And so we'll see.
Are we going to get a college decision hat where you put the one on, you throw it off, and you put the actual one on?
I'll just take this one off and I'll put the new one on.
Fair enough.
All right.
He's leaving the podcast to be a fan of this team.
Yeah. Also, on next week's episode, it is going to be after week 4, so it's not technically the quarter mark of the season, but because there's 18 weeks, but basically the quarter mark of the season. And so we're going to discuss who our top 3 MVP candidates would be at the quarter mark of the season. So stay tuned for that. And as always, don't forget to keep your balls played with. We'll see you next time.
Bye now, y'all. Also, Mark Davis' haircut still sucks.